Good evening, and welcome to the beginning of our College of Life Sciences 50th anniversary celebration. I'm Nick Siciliano, a member of the PhD class of 2015 and Vice President of the JCLS Alumni Association Board. On behalf of the board, it is my pleasure to welcome alumni from Jefferson, Textile, and Philadelphia University, along with current students and faculty for this evening's look at the past, present, and future of the life sciences at Jefferson. One of the most fulfilling duties that we on the Alumni Association Board get to perform is the recognition of our fellow alumni for their outstanding achievements and contributions to science. This year's Alumni Award recipients are extraordinary scientists who are sources of great pride for Jefferson and the Alumni Association. While we will formally honor them in person at next year's JCLS Alumni Day celebration, we wanted to take some time to announce and acknowledge our 2020 JCLS Alumni Award recipients, Dr. Marcel Martinez and Dr. Dabrowski Herbert. Dr. Martinez is the inaugural recipient of our recently established Early Career Alumni Award. She received her bachelor's degree in biochemistry at Philadelphia University in 2008 and went on to earn her Doctor of Pharmacy at Jefferson in 2015. Dr. Martinez is currently a Walgreens Health Outcomes pharmacist, working with patients with high-risk medical conditions, assessing barriers to adherence, and helping patients resolve medication-related problems. She previously held roles at the Academy of Natural Sciences, Colgate-Palmolive, Givaudan, and Firmenich. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Marcel Martinez as the inaugural recipient of the Early Career Alumni Award. Dr. Dabrowski Herbert has been named this year's Distinguished Alumni Award recipient. The Distinguished Alumni Award was established in 1983 and recognizes the outstanding professional achievements of JCLS alumni. Dr. Herbert earned his PhD at Jefferson in 2001 and is currently Associate Professor of Immunology at the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine. His research explores the cellular and molecular regulatory networks that control the inflammation that drives host protective immunity and tissue repair in both humans and rodents who are infected with parasites. The literature that his research program has generated has provided foundational insights into host-parasite interactions, as he had led sessions at several symposia and conferences and is the recipient of multiple awards and honors. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Dabrowski Herbert as the 2020 recipient of the Distinguished Alumni Award. I hope that you will tune in for the talks that Dr. Martinez and Dr. Herbert will share later this month on October 15th and October 22nd. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our Dean, Dr. Gerald Grunwald. Jerry has served as Dean of the College of Life Sciences, formerly the College of Biomedical Sciences, since 2010. He is a professor in the Department of Pathology, Anatomy, and Cell Biology, and serves as chair of the Department of Biological and Chemical Sciences. Jerry is also a longtime friend and a champion of both students and alumni at Thomas Jefferson University. Please welcome Dean Jerry Grunwald.
Thank you very much, Nick, for that very kind introduction. I want to echo Nick's words in welcoming our alumni, friends, and current members of the Jefferson community to tonight's discussion. It's my great privilege to share some thoughts with you as we celebrate a multi-year anniversary and a 50th and 70th joint celebration. Let me first say on behalf of the college and university, again, a welcome to our alumni, friends, guests, and current community members. I want to extend my best wishes for your good health and continued well-being as we all work through the present pandemic together. And I know we've had many questions from alumni about how Jefferson is faring, and it'll be part of the discussion as we talk about the Jefferson College of Life Sciences 50th anniversary perspective, then, now, and tomorrow. And indeed, we're celebrating a multi-anniversary, as you see here. It is the 70th anniversary of continuous graduate education at Jefferson, and I'll provide a bit more background on that beginning in 1949 in a moment. It's also the 50th anniversary of the founding of the College of Graduate Studies, which is now the College of Life Sciences. And so I want to be able to share with you a bit about the time that we have been working together through this illustrious history that I'll describe to you. As I prepared for the presentation, I want to thank the Jefferson archives, their publications, and their records. I always learn something when I prepare a historical talk, and although we're focusing on a 50th and 70th anniversary, it is actually by chance that we were also celebrating a 108th anniversary. And let me just take a minute to describe to you that there was a brief shining moment when graduate education began at Jefferson in the year 1912. And that story actually is an interesting one and involves, of all things, cereal beverages like Postum and Fleischmann's yeast that were being consumed for health purposes. So let me tell you a bit about that story. From the beginning of Jefferson Medical College in 1824 through 1912, Jefferson's educational activities were, of course, devoted to medical and nursing students. And in 1912, Dr. Philip Hawke was appointed head of the Department of Physiological Chemistry at Jefferson Medical College. And Dr. Hawke had some experience in graduate education. And in 1912, the Faculty and Board of Trustees of JMC approved his proposal to initiate master's and PhD courses and programs at Jefferson. And indeed, over the next decade, 8 master's and 7 doctoral degrees were awarded from 1912 to 1922. However, and you can see that advertisement, you see Dr. Hawke to the left and then this magazine ad in the middle from that year. In December 1922, alumni of JMC informed the administration that the name of the college and Dr. Hawke's name was being used in advertisements for commercial products, including Postum, cereal, and Fleischmann's yeast. And interestingly, while funds were being received to promote the departmental research from this commercial advertising, the faculty and board at the time found these commercial endorsements to be unethical. And in 1922, Dr. Hawke was dismissed from the faculty and the graduates program was terminated. So let this be a cautionary tale from our distant history. And indeed, it was another quarter of a century or more before graduate education was reinitiated at Jefferson in 1949. And it is this 70th anniversary of 1949 that we consider to be our 70th anniversary of our college. And on January 31st, 1949, the faculty at JMC approved once again the offering of graduate training leading to master's and PhD degrees through the medical college's basic science departments. And you see here a document which at that time JMC established what it called the Board for Regulation of Graduate Studies. And here you see a couple of pages from that guiding document. And indeed, after a 3-decade hiatus, graduate training commenced again, and the first graduate degrees under this plan were awarded beginning in 1950. And indeed, it was Friday, June 9th, 1950, at a ceremony beginning at 12 noon at the Academy of Music, where we have all for many years celebrated our commencements together, that JMC celebrated its 126 commencement exercises. And right there in the red box, you see one graduate from the graduate course in medical sciences receiving a Master of Science in Bacteriology, and that graduate was Sonia Ernestine Shore. And indeed, Sonia Shore was celebrated just over a year ago at our 2019 Alumni Day with our Jefferson College of Life Sciences Alumni Association Lifetime Achievement Award. And Sonia, who I had the pleasure of meeting at that event, actually was a double pioneer for us. Not only was she representing the first graduate degree recipient, non-medical degree from what will become our college, but she also was, in fact, as you see here in the left newspaper clipping, the first woman to receive a degree of any type from Jefferson. And again, had a wonderful day and evening with Sonia and her family. And I want to extend again my condolences to her family. Unfortunately, Sonia Shore Sloan passed away this past fall, and we will be seeking an additional opportunity to honor her again in the very near future. It was another 20 years that from 1949 in the Board for Graduate Studies till we actually formed the first College of Graduate Studies, the precursor to the current College of Life Sciences. And this occurred in 1969 when Thomas Jefferson University was established, rising to university status, with Jefferson Medical College being one of the now included 3 colleges, including the College of Allied Health Sciences and the College of Graduate Studies, in addition to the JMC Hospital. At that time, JMC continued to offer medical degrees, the MD degree. College of Allied Health was established as the undergraduate division of Jefferson, and the College of Graduate Studies was established to offer all graduate degrees, including master's and PhDs across all fields other than the doctoral degree in medicine. And indeed, in 1969, that auspicious start, as you see with the university charters cover shown on the left, built on the legacy of Jefferson Medical College and the Board for Graduate Studies. And this was the beginning of a full-blown college for graduate education. And my work today as dean really is only possible by the work of 3 pioneers, my predecessors, Robert Baldridge, who was the inaugural dean of the college from 1970 to 1981, UC Saukonen, who was the graduate dean when I first joined Jefferson in 1985, who was a dean from 1981 to 2003, and of course, my good friend and colleague, Jim Keene, who was dean from 2003 to 2010. And each of them, in turn, built and left a tremendous legacy that makes possible the programs and activities of the college that I'll be describing to you today. And when the college was founded in 1969, indeed, a new college needs a new home. And that was the same year, as you see here, that Jefferson Alumni Hall, that many of our alumni are familiar with, was built and opened. And on the left, you see a JMC alumni bulletin from spring of 1969 on a beautiful sunny day with a new building that had just opened. And on the middle and the right, you see some photos of the early years when Jeff Alumni Hall was opened. And at the top right, you can just see the beginning of an escalator that I'm sure will be very familiar to many of our alumni. And I'll have more to say about the fate of those escalators in just a moment. In 1980, as the programs of the new college were graduating students for just over a decade, the JCLS Alumni Association was founded by Harry Smith and Leonard Rosenfeld, who you see here on the left and the right. And indeed, with Harry Smith on the left, you see in both of these pictures, and with Leonard Rosenfeld on the right, you see a number of former Alumni Association college board members. And on the left, 5 former presidents of the Alumni Association. In turn, the first 5 presidents, Ron Jensch, Harry Smith, Georgianne Busher, Frederick Reeders, and Jerry McGarity, who were not only board members, but served as leaders of the Alumni Association. And on the right, you see with Len Rosenfeld and Melvin Johnson, another early board member of our Alumni Association. While Drs. Jensch, Smith, Busher, and Rosenfeld continued their careers for the most part here at Jefferson. Frederick Reeders, after many years as Jefferson faculty, went on to be the chief toxicologist for the city of Philadelphia before leaving that position to found the National Medical Services, a internationally renowned toxicology company with whom we have partnered through our education programs, as I'll have more to say in just a moment. Dr. Reeders and his family continue to be benefactors of the college. Gary McGarity went on to be the president of the Coriell Institute for Medical Research in Camden. And also, for those of you who may know the history of NIH and recombinant DNA research, some decades ago, when the very first RAC committee meeting at NIH approved the first human gene transfer trials, indeed, Gary McGarity was the chair of the RAC committee at that time. Melvin Johnson, after he left Jefferson, went to Central State University in Ohio, where he was for many years the Dean of Arts and Sciences at that academic institution. Through the ensuing years, we saw some additional firsts as the college evolved from its founding in 1969. On the left, we indicate from the spring of 1987, what was indeed at that time the first interdepartmental program of the college. And on the right, a few years later, the announcement of an NIH training grant that supported that program. And the point I want to make here is that throughout our college's history, we have really worked and continue to work to break down disciplinary barriers for our students and for our faculty as we learn and research together. And of course, much of that is supported extramurally through NIH and other public and private foundations. With that as backdrop for our Center City programs in Thomas Jefferson University, I do want to take a moment, of course, to acknowledge the history of Philadelphia University, which also traces its roots back to the 19th century when the textile industry in Philadelphia was undergoing expansion. And in 1880, the Philadelphia Association of Manufacturers of Textile Fabrics was formed with Theodore C. Search as its president. And you see Ted Search over in the photograph on the right. Search joined the board of directors of a number of key Philadelphia institutions. And in 1882, began fundraising efforts to found a school to support the textile industry. And in 1884, the first classes were taught at the then named Philadelphia Textile School, which officially opened in November 5th of that year. And you see one of their early buildings, Ravenhill Mansion, which you can still visit on our campus on the right. In 1942, the Philadelphia Textile School was granted the right to award baccalaureate degrees and changed its name to the Philadelphia Textile Institute. And in 1949, moved to the present site, now occupied in East Falls in Philadelphia, and changed its name to the Philadelphia College of Textiles and Science. And over the intervening decades, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, the college expanded greatly, doubling its student body through those decades, added programs in the arts and sciences and business administration, which will play a role, as you'll see in a moment, in the evolution of our own college. And in 1999, the College of Textiles and Science changed its name, as we most recently knew it, to Philadelphia University, and you see the modern, lovely expanded campus in the corner on the lower right. And indeed, important to our college's history, as you know, in the summer of 2017, Thomas Jefferson University and Philadelphia University merged to form the present institution with the dual campus presence that we'll say more about in just a moment. So indeed, for Jefferson, as we go back and look at our timeline here, from our early beginnings in Jefferson Medical College to the Board for the Regulation of Graduate Studies 70 years ago, to the College of Graduate Studies 50 years ago, we've gone through a continuous evolution following a year later the merger with Philadelphia University and the reorganization of a number of colleges of the new university to now form the Jefferson College of Life Sciences. And if you look at this time chart, I became dean, as Nick said in our introduction, in 2010. And if I've learned anything in the course of my time as dean, don't order too much stationery at once. Shortly after becoming dean, we petitioned the Board of Trustees that approved our name to the Jefferson Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences to more clearly indicate our mission. With the advent of Dr. Klasko and some further growth and development of our various colleges and schools on campus, we all changed our names to colleges. So we became the Jefferson College of Biomedical Sciences, and post-merger, as you'll see again in 2018, became the Jefferson College of Life Sciences, which is currently how we are known and recognized. And so that leads us to today, and I'd like to focus on a number of attributes of our college indeed today. So through this evolution, we've undergone tremendous growth and transformation, including our context with the university. And as the graphic on the left illustrates, you now find us as life sciences joining 10 fellow colleges and 4 fellow schools you see listed in the lower right, with over 160 different academic programs offered across the dual campus university. We are, along with our Jefferson Health Division, the second largest employer in Philadelphia. We have some 8,000 students, over 65,000 alumni, and you see a number of other attributes of the tremendous growth and expansion of the university, again, in the graphic on the right. And on the upper right, you see shots of different images of our lovely campuses. And to our alumni who are tuned in tonight, if you haven't been back to Jefferson for a few years. As soon as we are able to welcome you back for a visit, which we hope is very soon, we certainly encourage you and welcome you to visit our absolutely lovely East Falls and transformed Center City campuses, so that you can better acquaint yourselves with the university. So in the context of the university today, TJU is recognized now with the merger as a comprehensive university with transdisciplinary experiential professional education, preparing our students for their 21st century careers across the many fields you see listed here. We share with the university mission that we improve lives and provide students with exceptional value in 21st century professional education as we all work together to reimagine health, education, and discovery to create unparalleled value for our students. And I want to take the opportunity to thank our outstanding university leadership, President Klasko, Provost Tikaczynski, and Chief Officer Kathy Gallagher for their ongoing support of the College of Life Sciences and of our administration, our students, our staff, and our faculty in support of the growth and development of our programs that we're discussing with you today. Through this time and the growth of the college, our mission was and continues to be focused, as you see here, on training tomorrow's scientific leaders today through achieving and towards achieving their future professional goals. And with the merger of the campuses and the colleges and the reorganization of life sciences, we now, as you see, and I'll delineate in a moment, fully span undergraduate, post-baccalaureate, graduate, and postdoctoral education in the broadly defined life sciences, with our academic programs complemented by extensive co-curricular professional development to prepare all of our trainees for successful and impactful careers. As you see here, post-merger, this is the organization of the college as you would find it today. We have a number of academic divisions within the colleges. The Jefferson Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences is the home base of our Center City-focused graduate programs, master's and PhD offering programs that were formerly part of graduate studies and continue as part of life sciences. So during the college reorganizations with the new university, all of our graduate programs were retained as part of life sciences. The Department of Biological Chemical Sciences is the home base at East Falls for our undergraduate faculty and programs, and I'll describe for you in a moment the bachelor's degree offerings provided there. Continuing with the College of Life Sciences, over a decade ago, we founded the Jefferson Office of Postdoctoral Affairs, which is part of our college, although it serves postdoctoral trainees across the entire Jefferson enterprise on every campus and every department division of the university, although housed within the College of Life Sciences. And the growth of our programs over the last couple of decades has left us now with about 24 different programs you see graphically illustrated here, with PhD programs, master's and graduate certificate programs based principally in Center City, and the 4 undergraduate programs of biology, biochemistry, chemistry, and pre-medical studies based at East Falls. In addition, in partnership with Sydney Chemical Medical College, we continue to offer an MD PhD program, the aforementioned postdoctoral programs. In a moment, I'll describe further a post-baccalaureate pre-professional program. And in a moment, when we talk about where we're headed in the future, a number of new programs coming our way soon. So our alumni will recognize a number of these programs as the base for their graduate studies and undergraduate studies with us on both campuses prior to the merger. And all of this now under the umbrella of our expanded College of Life Sciences. And indeed, these are the 4 programs based at East Falls that are the undergraduate portfolio of life sciences, again, biology, biochemistry, chemistry, and pre-medicine. And I'll talk in a moment about the significant growth and expansion of these programs post-merger when I describe our enrollment trends to you in just a moment. And indeed, here you see some images of our undergraduates, students, and undergraduate faculty in action. The addition of the undergraduate division to life sciences has really greatly expanded our activities and horizons, as you see here, whether in the classroom, the laboratory, or in the field. And it really has been tremendously rewarding for me with my engagement with graduate education for most of my 35 years at Jefferson, as well as in medical education through the Jefferson Medical College, now Sidney Kimmel Medical College, to expand my engagement to our undergraduate students and faculty at East Falls. It's really a tremendously rewarding experience that we'll talk more about. Through the years, we also in Center City were adding a number of new programs. In 2012, we inaugurated our post-baccalaureate pre-professional program, which is a pre-health certificate program that began, as you see here, with just 10 students. I had the privilege and honor of serving as its inaugural director just a few years ago when it began. This program, under our present leadership with Dr. Dolores Byrne as director, has greatly expanded so that we now have 100 or more students in the program. And many of them have already, of course, graduated the program. We have in our early years already have reached 100% success rate with their placement in medical and other professional schools, with more than two dozen different academic institutions where they already are placed for their doctoral level and other health science studies. And for alumni, you're probably familiar with the program. You may have noticed in a recent edition of the Review magazine, this article, a few pages of which are shown here, regarding the tremendous growth and success of our P4s, we like to call it, or post-baccalaureate pre-professional program. And the program continues to grow and now rivals our master's and doctoral programs and undergraduate programs, essentially in the size of our post-bac student body. In addition to our academic degree granting and certificate programs, we also pride ourselves on the co-curricular and extracurricular professional development for all of our student and postdoctoral trainees. And again, in another recent issue of the Review magazine, our alumni may have read the article Beyond the Bench that talked principally about our Business of Bioscience, or BizBio group, as we like to call it, a student organization that began and was founded by life science graduate students, but has now grown and expanded to encompass all the colleges of the university. This group represents students with entrepreneurial interest and broad horizons for their careers. And that's what we mean by Beyond the Bench. In the reference at the top, you see our master's programs, as well as our PhD programs and our undergraduate programs, are all infused with co and extracurricular professional development opportunities that often grow into formal courses as part of their curriculum. We recognize that many of our students are exploring and will wind up in a multitude of diverse career paths, and PhD Plus, BizBio, and many other initiatives supported by many of you as alumni outside the college, networking with our students, support these programs. Through these recent decade, we have also added additional academic programs. You see 4 of the recent additions, graduate programs illustrated here. 4 relatively new master's programs, our nationally accredited program in human genetics and genetic counseling, our master's programs in clinical research, forensic biology, and forensic toxicology, the 2 forensics programs, partnership programs with a critical collaboration with the Center for Forensic Science Research and Education, again, an organization founded by our alumnus Frederick Reeders and further developed and led today by members of the Reeders family, including Michael Reeders, who is also a life sciences alumnus that many of our alumni I know very well. So as you see here today, through this growth and development post-merger, the Jefferson College of Life Sciences finds ourselves with a very significant dual campus footprint. As the crow flies, we like to say, these 2 campuses are 8 miles apart. And I like to refer to these as the 8 shortest miles in academia, as we continue to build bridges between the campuses for our students, faculty, and staff alike. And again, the images you see here are from both campuses. And if you haven't been, again, I urge you, when time permits in the very near future, as we further reopen our campuses to visitors, to indeed come and enjoy the lovely environments of both campuses. And so post-merger, as you can see, the Philadelphia University, Thomas Jefferson University merger provided many opportunities for us to further grow and expand our programs. And the purpose behind the academic institution merger, we refer to that as a merger thesis, really provided Jefferson with the opportunity to tremendously grow and become a comprehensive university with what were essentially all complementary programs with very, very little existing overlap across the two campuses. And what you see here are even some of the early wins for life sciences post-merger. Post-merger across our dual campus footprint, we already have begun to put new courses in place established by faculty collaboratively across both our East Falls and Center City campus in critical areas such as computational biology. Our East Falls undergraduate students are already coming to conduct research in Center City to complement the tremendous research they do with our East Falls faculty already. In turn, our Center City graduate students and postdocs are able to obtain additional teaching experience working with East Falls faculty and students in our undergraduate programs. Our college and other Jefferson programs, such as the Canberra College of DEC or Design, Engineering, and Commerce, already work together to develop new courses that support DEC's Jefferson Institute for Bioprocessing that I'm sure you've read about with its recent opening and tremendous early growth and success, as well as new program growth in bioengineering through collaboration between our colleges. Our faculty at both campuses are already also exploring many collaborative joint research opportunities where they find mutual interest. And academically, we are planning for, we already have undergraduate students who have come to Center City campus for their academics, but we're looking to formalize that with what we call track-up programs, such as 3+2 undergraduate to master's transitions and opportunities for other programs for our students from East Falls to pursue their education, further education in Center City. And as I'll show you some numbers in a moment, post-merger, indeed, that Jefferson freshman enrollment in our East Falls programs has more than increased threefold in our 4 undergraduate programs. So some of the additional footprint you'll find with the renewed Center City campus and East Falls campus as well. I mentioned in 1969 that Jeff Hall was a new building that was contemporaneous with the foundation of our College of Graduate Studies, our historical precursor to life sciences. And you see in the center on the right some new images. Again, if you haven't, as alumni, had the chance to visit Jeff Hall recently when we reopened for visits, I hope you will. You'll find it tremendously changed. It's bright and airy and welcoming to students, staff, faculty, and alumni alike. And on the second floor, you'll find our wonderful Pinizzato Ammon Alumni Center to welcome you back to campus. And on the left, a bit of historical photo. I said I would tell you what became of those famous or infamous escalators. And in fact, you see on the left, I think what we managed to take a picture was the last ride down the escalator in Jeff Hall some years ago with our life science staff from the time. And thanking again the building and the escalator for the memories, because on the right, on the lower right, for example, you see the beautiful new entryway to Jeff Hall, where rather than those closed escalators, we find beautiful open stairwells that move us easily and quickly through the building, as well as what you don't see, several brand new elevators were also added as part of that wonderful extensive renovation. So again, please come back and visit Jefferson Alumni Hall, which remains the home base for our Center City programs. When you visit at East Falls, as the middle lower image shows, you'll find our faculty and students engaged in research, learning, and teaching across the entire campus. But we have a particularly strong footprint in Search Hall and Hayward Hall, which are centerpieces of the main part of campus. And again, we urge you to come and join us for your visits at the East Falls campus. As we talk about the current activities of campus, I know, again, many of you have asked about the way we have been managing through the COVID pandemic, as well as the summer of social justice movements. And I want to indicate that not only the university, but our life science college has indeed been facing up to both of these challenges. These screenshots will provide you with an entree to get more information from the university, where we stand together against racial oppression for the university and colleges alike. And we also have risen to the challenge of the coronavirus pandemic. And I'll have more to say about both of these in the remaining slides of the presentation. But I urge you to visit these websites where additional information be obtained. And indeed, with respect to social injustice, we've taken a firm stand, not only as a university, but as a college, as we have and continue to commit ourselves to inclusive excellence. Here you see a few examples of our recent activities. I'll also have more to say about it in a subsequent slide. On the left, we established and sponsored the Dean's series of workshops through the summer and beyond, including our Shift series, Seeing Humanity Inclusively and Fully Thriving Together, which afforded us the opportunity for a series of workshops, presentations, and what we called as a university in its own series called Brave Discussions, where we share our experiences and ideas for working together moving forward for inclusive excellence. In the middle, you see examples of training that is required for faculty and staff alike, as well as we have programs for students too, moving us continuously toward inclusive excellence. And on the right, you see an example of our community outreach, including a critical diversity pipeline program. Some Science at Jefferson was a program at Jefferson provided for years, but just 2 years ago, our College of Life Sciences took on ownership of the Summer Science program. And this summer, I'm pleased to say that we continued the program, although in the virtual realm, as we all had gone offline through the spring and summers, we'll talk about in a moment. And we were very pleased to continue to welcome students to participate in the program and look forward to welcoming them back to campus for Summer Science next year. I also, as I said, want to mention our universities and colleges' COVID response. When the pandemic presented itself, we've gone through and continue to go through a number of phases, as you see here. Back in March, the entire university addressed the pandemic in its incipient phase by engaging a enterprise-wide incident command structure to deal with the pandemic. And as you know, we shifted our educational offerings into the remote space, as well as much of our research and university workforce. And that continued through much of the spring and for academics into the summer. But as you see in the timeline, we right away entered phase 2 and began our transition planning for return to campus operations across the entire Jefferson enterprise. We initiated a relaunch committee and many subcommittees. We restarted our research labs across the enterprise in May. We restarted clinical education across Jefferson University in June. We completed our relaunch playbook, I'll show you in a second, that really laid the groundwork for our fall semester start. And we were very excited to welcome students and faculty back to campus for opening our campus to in-person education through our Jefferson Engaged paradigm. And we did this very carefully to maximize safety and well-being for all members of the community in concert with the Center for Disease Control, the Pennsylvania Department of Education, the Philadelphia Department of Health, our own university's Next Generation Workplace Task Force, enterprise-level policies were enforced, many consultations with our infection control experts from on and off campus. And as I said, the playbook really set the blueprint. And if you're interested in the details, this is a publicly available document. You see the cover of it here. You can go to our Jefferson University website if you're interested in the details. And again, the relaunch guide led us through our Jefferson Engaged campaign to return to campus in the fall, through extensive university planning, coordinating with the state and the city, all the while respecting the forces of Mother Nature and human nature, first of all, to provide for maximizing the health, safety, and wellness of all members of the Jefferson community on and off campus, in working with our community, while maintaining academic continuity as well as business opportunity for our students, faculty, staff, university, and hospitals. And I won't read through this, but again, I urge you, if you're curious, and I know I've had many questions from alumni, to visit the website where you can see the relaunch guide that really managed our return to campus through student affairs, academics, faculty and staff affairs, research, campus operations, communications, and finance to bring us to where we are today as I'll describe, back on campus. And indeed, we were able to restart our fall semester, maintaining our planned start and end dates. As you'll recall, we had moved the entirety of in-person instruction into the remote space for spring and gradually moved it back through the timeline I illustrated for you just a moment ago. For the most part, remote instruction continued through the summer, and it was with the fall semester, we welcomed students and faculty in in-person instruction back to campus. We have modified the academic calendar to minimize back and forth travel. So in-person classes will end by Thanksgiving break, and students will complete their academic work again in the remote space through the end of the fall semester. We are planning for a similar hybrid approach with on and off campus offerings for the spring semester, and are looking at some modifications of the spring semester to support that endeavor. And in terms of the teaching modes, to answer again questions I've received from alumni, we've really taken a multi-platform approach. We continue to offer on-campus in-person instruction. Much instruction is fully online, but again, much of it is hybrid, or as I like to call high flex, which is the ultimate approach, whereby simultaneously we can have on-campus instruction being beamed to our students who may be in an off-campus situation, and some of their fellow students are nevertheless in class on campus at that time. And the data at the bottom shows you the roughly 50-50 divide between fully online instruction and the combination of in-person and hybrid instruction for our lectures, labs, research activities, and clinical training through the college. So the key for us through this period has been, of course, first and foremost, maintaining the health, safety, and wellness of our students. We've supported our students not only through academic continuity, but also through extensive wellness programs, not only for students, but for postdocs, faculty, and staff as well across the enterprise. We have focused at the same time on academic continuity, not only for classes, but also for degrees and certificates. And I'm really pleased to say that all of our students who went online in the spring and summer periods were brought and continue to be brought to their academic completion. And I'm really proud of our students and our faculty and staff and alumni who supported them. And I want to really, again, honor our remarkably accomplished and resilient class of 2020. As our alumni know from communications from the university, we did confer our degrees at our traditional annual May commencement time, although we did hold off until August, where the screenshot you see here, just one example, all of our 2020 graduates from the college, as well as our fellow colleges across the university, were honored at a virtual commencement. We see a screenshot where I was able to call the name of one of our illustrious students here, but each in turn was called upon and recognized for their tremendous resiliency and accomplishments. And we welcomed to date 86 2020 graduates who continue to progress and complete through their studies. And I did want to share some data with you. Again, we see our annual enrollment increase both pre and post merger. And in orange, you see the undergraduate growth. In yellow, you see the graduate growth. And indeed, across programs for life sciences on both campuses, we continue to grow and expand. The left half represents actual enrollment, and the right half represents continued projected growing enrollment. And I want to really bring home the point that post-merger, we have tripled our annual new freshman undergraduate enrollment in our center city programs. It's really been a tremendous testament to our faculty and staff in supporting this growth in our enrollment across all our programs. And even through the pandemic, the tremendous activity of enrollment management, moving visits and information resources into the virtual space, we were actually able to enroll in the College of Life Sciences this fall, a class that across every element of our portfolio even exceeded the prior years. And whether it's our undergraduate, post-bac, or graduate programs across our dual campus footprint, you see increases in both student number and percentages over even the prior year. And again, a testament to the resilience of not only our students, but our faculty, staff, and alumni in supporting the changes through the COVID pandemic. And importantly, I just showed you some a commencement screenshot and referenced the growth of our enrollees. but of course, enrollees become alumni. And here I really want to bring home the point that the growth and development of JCLS, now Life Sciences, decade by decade through our foundings at both the East Falls and Center City campuses, we've gone through the decades through the tremendous growth you see here, where today we count over 3,200 alumni representing programs across both campuses as members of our graduate program. And as I said already, have 86 new alumni welcomed as we have entered the decades of the 20s. And we look forward to continued tremendous growth. And the alumni body, again, is a critical part of the networking and support, not only for each other, but of our current students and future alumni as well. So we thank you for that. So in the closing slides, as I brought you through our dual campus history, talked a bit about our footprint today, I want to close with a bit of a discussion about where we're headed together tomorrow in our future. And much of that is based on the vision for the college. What you see here is the alignment of the College of Life Sciences with the 4 goals of the academic strategic plan across the entire university. So each of our 10 colleges and 4 schools, we're all working together, teaching to fields of tomorrow, curating personalized professional growth for each of our students and fellows, cultivating a dynamic academic community across all our programs and colleges, and creating an outward-looking academic ecosystem that's inclusive of our alumni. And as you work through these 4 points under each of the 4 plan areas represents our college's strategic mission, all devoted to training tomorrow's scientific leaders today with competency-driven, high-value education for lifelong learning across multiple platforms, building bridges with the academics and co-curricular elements I described earlier, putting people first as part of our Jefferson mission, leveraging our local, regional, and global partnerships, as well as our alumni base, and all together building a welcoming college community with a focus on enhancing our programs to promote inclusive excellence and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And part of this occurs across both campuses. I'll highlight our planned growth for our East Falls campus footprint, again, with our academic and research base in Hayward Hall in the center of the East Falls campus. You see here our plans are already underway to expand our office, classroom, and research footprint. The spaces you see in red are being newly developed for life sciences, and all the spaces you see on the left are existing spaces that are poised to undergo extensive renewal and renovation to support our growing student body, our faculty body, and the research and research training enterprise. So there are a number of key areas I'll leave you with that we are focusing on for continued growth and development. It is continued growth of our programs at the PhD, master's, and undergraduate level, including that significant freshman enrollment increase I alluded to a moment ago. And you see some highlights here of the special focus on increasing the size of our PhD student body in the last few years, as well as growth of our more recently added master's programs to our portfolio, as well as critical partnerships. I already mentioned the Center for Forensic Science Research and Education. That is a critical partner for our forensics programs, partnering with the Jefferson Institute for Bioprocessing, and partnering with our fellow colleges in pharmacy and the medical college for the further academic growth and diversification of our students and faculty. I mentioned our commitment to inclusive excellence, and here you see a number of recent changes for us. I know many of our alumni will fondly, we may say, remember the GRE, a graduate record exam. I will say we no longer require that, as we have increased our focus on truly holistic admissions. We created an Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Campus Engagement, and I'm pleased to acknowledge Laverne Webb as the inaugural director of that office for the Life Sciences College, as well as forming a committee on diversity inclusion initiatives that brings together students, faculty, and we'll be welcoming alumni to this as well to guide the programs that I gave you some examples of earlier in our journey toward inclusive excellence. And we do, of course, continue to have challenges, but they're all good ones that are relating to the growth in our enrollment, the facilities expansion, the continuing need for scholarship and fellowship support for our students, and the opportunities to continue to diversify our faculty, staff, and student bodies. We're doing this in part through international collaborations, of which you see several listed here, in Portugal, Italy, Israel, and across Central America as well, in which our graduate faculty and undergraduate students all do and will be able to participate. And as alumni especially, I welcome your engagement as well as our community friends in our Jefferson Reimagine campaign, at which the Office of Institutional Advancement will provide more information to you, but I welcome you to go to our website to learn more about our Reimagine campaign. I will indicate our major philanthropic targets include opportunities for naming the college itself, development of lab space and equipment, as I showed you earlier a moment ago, in East Falls and Center City, expanding upgrades to our classrooms and research labs, recruiting, retaining additional faculty to support enrollment growth, curriculum development, and diversity, including development of a professional development center to support the PLUS curriculum, professional development, and endowment of our College of Life Sciences deanship. And of course, our evergreen targets. Our students are always in need of additional support that we provide to them for fellowships and scholarships, as well as supporting lectureships to bring science to campus, and the many awards that recognize our faculty and student and fellow accomplishments in the college. So as we move ahead through, and I want to emphasize beyond COVID, everything I've shared with you, we've learned a lot through the challenges of the COVID period. And as we move beyond, we're ready for whatever comes. I like to say that we're primed. We're prepared, ready, inspired, mobilized, equipped, and driven. And in the acrostic you see, I like to think of Prime for us as being professional, providing that professional growth and development I outlined earlier, the R for real world, the I for individualized, flexible curricular offerings for our students, the M for multi-platform, which will continue beyond the COVID period to maximally engage our students, promote their dynamic engagement and research, education and training. And of course, the D for diversity, welcoming and supporting a community with inclusive excellence in all that we do. And so with that, I want to conclude with just a reminder, and then to ask you to join me in not only in these upcoming events that you heard about at the beginning. I want to welcome you as we continue our anniversary celebration through the 2020 year. Invite you on October 15th to join Marcel Martinez as our inaugural Early Career Alumnus Award recipient. And as you learn about her story, she's an alumnus of both our East Falls chemistry program as bachelor's program, as well as our Center City PharmD program. And also on Thursday, October 22nd, to please join us to honor at that time Dr. Dabrowski Herbert, a 2001 alumnus of our PhD program in microbiology and immunology, as he receives the 2020 Distinguished Alumnus Award, both of these individuals receiving awards named by our Alumni Association. And so with that, I want to conclude our discussion this evening, and just to leave you with the thought that since the founding of our Center City campus in 1825 and our East Falls campus just a few years later in the 19th century, we really have come a tremendous way in terms of our programs, our students, our faculty, our offerings, our growth and development, and our alumni body as well. We look very much forward to that continued growth and development into the future. And as we said we would do when we invited you to lecture, I would like to invite everybody. Hopefully you came prepared to do so. I would like to ask you to join us in a toast. I'll stop the share so we can join together, and ask you to raise a glass to the future of the Jefferson College of Life Sciences and continued well-being of our students, faculty, staff, alumni, and the wider community as you work through everything together today and continue to build a tremendous future together. So thank you for being with us this evening. Here's a toast to our future, and look forward to sharing some discussion with you after we drink to our future. So thank you again, and here's to the College of Life Sciences.
Thank you so much, Dean Grunwald. We do have time for just a few questions if you want to use the Q&A button located at the bottom of your screen. If you don't see the Q&A button, just wiggle your mouse, you should see it. Dean, our first question is, will JCLS develop online degrees in the post-COVID world?
Absolutely. Thank you. That's a great question. And as I alluded to, when we pivoted off campus, not just life sciences, but all of our colleges and schools in the spring, that was by necessity. Although I will say, for our college as well as others, we had already been progressing to complement our on-campus offerings with online offerings. And indeed, the hybrid approach we've taken, even with welcoming students back to in-person learning on campus, has taught us a great deal about the tremendous opportunities using modern technology to provide a hybrid approach that provides us the opportunity to flip classrooms and engage with our students and complement the traditional lecture format, indeed, with a much more engaged learning environment for our students, which has traditionally been a hallmark with Nexus Learning, as we call it, at East Falls, but has continued to infuse Center City and our graduate programs as well. So absolutely, that's what I meant about post-COVID. We will be continuing to look to creative applications of all learning modalities to support the continued growth of our program. So thank you for the great question.
Excellent. Another question. Given the exceptional growth of the college, one alumnus wonders if the planning strategy has really been fit for purpose, or are there motivating forces benchmarking to other universities with similar growth?
Thank you again for a great question. I'd say, compared to other universities, the merger thesis clearly was part of our strategic trajectory to become a truly comprehensive university and take full advantage of the traditional and historic offerings at both our East Falls and Center City campuses and bring them together into a seamless whole, not only in the new College of Life Sciences, but across the entire Jefferson enterprise. At the same time, we're very strategic about our growth, and we look to opportunities. The theme of improving lives and professional development for our students. We really are imbuing our programs with increased value. And for us, it's really looking to the future. That is, remember our mission, training tomorrow's scientific leaders today for 21st century's careers. And yes, we're in the 21st century, but much of that century lies before us. And much of what we do is not just training students for today's careers, but really trying to think outside the box, look ahead as best we can, and think about the careers of tomorrow. So that in part will answer hopefully your question about the strategy we have been and will be taking as we continue to move ahead.
Excellent. I think we have time for just one more question, which piggybacks off of the point that you were making there. With Jefferson's new collaboration with the University of the Arts, and to take that even further, some of the enterprise growth for Jefferson, what are some of the impacts you can see for JCLS programs or opportunities to partner with those academic programs?
Thank you very much. So again, as I alluded to, our Life Sciences College has been historically transdisciplinary, and we look forward to continuing that growth and expansion, not only within Jefferson, but as I mentioned, beyond Jefferson as well, including the international partners. And so really in one of our four core parts of our mission, which is curating individualized education for our students, we have been and continue to look outside the traditional boundaries of our college and of our campus. And Jefferson itself likes to think of itself as moving toward a university in some ways without a campus, that not just our multi-campus footprint, the city itself, the tri-state region, and the entire world beyond really becomes our campus. And these partnerships are an important part of what we already do. We'll continue to investigate and build them. And I want to extend a welcome to our alumni and friends with us. Many of these partnerships, not only in the classroom, but outside the classroom in terms of co-curriculum professional development, are based upon alumni networking and those critical opportunities. And so I certainly welcome, after our talk this evening, hopefully we've stimulated some ideas for alumni to reach back out. I welcome your questions and ideas as we move ahead and look forward to building on that network with our alumni to move ahead, building those additional new partnerships as we continue to move life sciences deeper into the 21st century, training tomorrow's scientific leaders today and beyond.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Dean Grunwald, and everyone who's joined us here this evening. We hope that you'll join us later this month for the talks by our JCLS Alumni Award recipients, Dr. Marcel Martinez, Dr. Herbert, as well as our look at the vaccine race with Dr. Matthias Schnell, Director of the Jefferson Vaccine Center, and Dr. Kay Schwedemalker, Global Head of Vaccine Discovery at Janssen. You can find information on these events and a number of other upcoming alumni programs at jefferson.edu/alumni events. I invite you to consider supporting student scholarships through our Imagine Scholarships initiative. You can make your gift today at jefferson.edu/reimagine scholarships and take advantage of a one-to-one match made possible by Johnson & Johnson. Designate your gift to support student scholarships in the life sciences or in other areas of the university. Thank you all and stay well.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us.